All right. I'm going to do my little check here to see if the sound is good, but welcome. If you're tuning in right now, welcome. If you're tuning for the recording, also welcome. Let me get the light on right.
So welcome. Let me get
It's working.
the light.
I need to test my own audio to see if the things are working. So, welcome to the weekly lives. Oh, this thing is totally... So as you see, I'm following the tradition of forgetting to charge my headphones. So I'm stuck with a wire today as well. So if you are popping in, say hi. Today's topic for the live is boundaries. And my lives are different than the regular videos that I make because I prefer to focus on more inspirational, motivational, and informational aspect of the videos and not really make it about me and provide as much value as I can. And these lives, I really thought it would be great to bring the raw element and just kind of show how I'm eating my own cooking when it comes to self-love, self-growth, and just working on yourself. It's very uncomfortable, not the fact that I'm in front of the camera live, but the fact that I'm challenging myself with these lives to open up more and to me, and guess what zodiac sign I am. To me, opening up, like just talking to someone about myself, that's already opening up. Like anything, just saying my name, it's opening up already. So I'm not the person who really opens up. Like we gotta be super, super close. And then the Pandora box opens. But otherwise, like, you can ask me questions and I will find 1 million ways to go around and not answer the question. Very diplomatic. So today, the topic that I chose, and some of my friends, viewers, also chose the boundaries thing. And oof, this is a very painful topic to me. And I would say setting boundaries, not just with the world, but with myself too. And I have a video recorded. Oh, hello, someone unknown. Hello to you. So yeah, if you're popping in, say hi. If you are tuning into the recording, which will be posted on my channel, then drop in the comments how old I am. 100 years old. Guess. I don't like actually to talk about my age and anyone's age because I think it's unrelatable. It's just a number to this body. So yeah, the only what is the only time that age actually is useful? I don't know. Some legal stuff and things like that. Otherwise, yeah, don't ever ask me my age. You're not gonna get an answer. Anyway, yes, and here we go with setting boundaries. I just set a boundary here on my channel. Don't ask my age. 33. Actually, it's so funny you say that. Number 3, just like anything with 3 is following me. So this week, synchronicity number is number 3 for me, totally. Anyway, talking about the boundaries, setting boundaries with the world and with myself has been a very humble and challenging aspect of my journey of self-love. And I have mentioned it in one of my videos, and I actually have a whole video dedicated to the setting boundaries, which will be coming up. I don't know when. I don't know if I actually filmed that one. I look too young. I challenge you to find one of my videos where I actually talk about my age because it's related to that. So you can check it now or check it later, and you will find the answer to the question. Anyway, yes, setting boundaries has been a very, very challenging part because, first of all, and some of you might relate, it has been kind of the way I grew up, the environment I was raised in. Boundaries were, I wouldn't really say non-existent, but they haven't been reinforced and respected. So when I turned 20 and went into the world to put myself out there and like into the real world where there's real problems, and you kind of gotta be a little bit more, I wouldn't say necessarily like thick skin, but you know what I mean. You get into the real world. You gotta deal with a real problem with real people. And I just noticed a law that I haven't stepped on. And not only because I couldn't set boundaries with people, I also wouldn't set boundaries with myself. And I would get myself in so many things where I would just feel that not only those people or like those situations are disrespectful towards me and my needs, and many times like people didn't even think that they're like stepping on my needs and violating my needs because I haven't spoken up about it. And yes, there were moments where like it was obvious that those people are just being very like crazy for behaving like that, not just with me but other people too. But I'm not talking about those cases, though, about those cases too, but I'm even talking about the cases where it would be something very little and there is no way a person would know that they violate my boundary. For example, even like with asking the age, I never like to be asked my age, though I don't hide it either. Like I have a video dedicated to this, but many people don't know about that, or like things like that. Or for example, some people are very comfortable with their personal space, and I need people to stay like keep distance from me because personal space is very important to me. So these things have been very challenging to me, and I was afraid I would get actually paralyzed. And if you resonate with it, comment if you've been experiencing those kind of things where you knew that your boundaries are being crossed, but you knew what you need to say, you knew that is the case, but you just couldn't do or couldn't say anything because you didn't have the tools, you didn't learn how to step up for yourself, how to speak up. I would get hyperventilated when it would come to claim and keep people accountable for my boundaries. Now I've been working on myself on my own. Also, I've been working with a therapist that has helped me so many things to just heal within myself and become and actually accelerate my journey of personal growth and self-love journey. And by the way, if you are interested and looking into getting a therapist, which I really recommend you, I don't think there is one person in this world that doesn't need a therapist. I'm using BetterHelp. I'm not affiliated with them, and I have a link that would give you a free week when you join up, and I will get as a reward a free week myself. So everybody gets a free week. So if you're interested, it's a very budget-friendly option. You get paired up with a therapist, and if you don't like the therapist, you can like change a different therapist, no questions asked, and things like that. So I'm gonna link, not right now, but in the recording, I'm gonna put the that sounded very funny. Sometimes I have like a very interesting accent to the words. I'm gonna put the link to get a free week with BetterHelp in the description for this video. But anyway, I'm reading through the comments. There's one person who's not even putting his own or her name. I don't know, his or her. Oh, thank you. Yes, I get lost in my own eyes sometimes too when I look in the camera. Very humble response. Yes, anyway, I'm trying to get comfortable in this chair. So you don't have a BF, best friend, boyfriend, whatever it is, it's a personal question, and I don't answer personal questions in public. So it doesn't matter who I have and who I don't have. So yes. Anyway, so yes, the unknown person is Jack. So let's talk about the boundaries a little more, because that's what this video is dedicated. So yes, if you are feeling that and resonate with the same things, like your experience, you get paralyzed when it comes with setting boundaries, and you feel like I used to feel guilt, I used to feel so many things that are not good. Let's just put it like that. That you shouldn't feel. It's totally normal to set boundaries, but it's easy to say. Like I see so many posts and I like them, and I post that too on my Instagram as well about boundaries and stuff. And it sounds easy in theory, but how my aunt says, life is not easy. Life is easy in theory. Everything is so easy in theory, but real life is full of unpredictable things, and not everything is so just, by the book. So it's totally normal if you do feel challenged with setting boundaries, not even with the world, but with yourself. But it shouldn't feel like you shouldn't feel guilty for having boundaries and setting them. The biggest, so okay, with the parts, actually, I'm going to share now like how it helped. How was my journey with healing and putting my boundaries out there, claiming them, and keep people accountable for it, obviously. The biggest challenges were first at work. So I changed many jobs, like many years already. Like I think I started putting up boundaries consciously when I moved to Toronto and by myself. And that's like, you're on your own, girl. And I had to step up for myself. I had to put those boundaries in front of people and say like, hey, this is not nice. Like, I'm not going to tolerate this. And really raise and work on my levels of tolerance and all that stuff. So that was super challenging. And I was pretty much forced because, for example, one example, I got a job where I don't want to say too much about that job, but disclose too many things. But the part is that the location where I was working, it was like a booth, and the conditions were crazy. You would pretty much be on your own at the booth selling something there. I'm not going to say something because everybody will know what company this is, but I want to keep things discreet here, and I don't want to bash anyone online. So yeah, but you would be on your own at the booth. You couldn't have, like, you would stay there for 8-10 hour shift. Yeah. With nobody to come and replace you for a break. And I'm not even talking about a lunch break, a bathroom break. So you would really just have to put up with it. And it felt very inhumane to me, but I wouldn't speak up for this. I wouldn't say like, listen, this is not okay. This is actually illegal. So they liked my sales. I've been a very good salesperson there, sales girl, and I've been bumping up the sales a lot for the products. But it took me like to a level where I felt that I just cannot take it physically anymore. I felt so humiliated that I don't have the basic human needs this job met. So I had to speak up for it. And first time it ended that I quit the job. And then a year and a half later, I was in a situation that I needed some extra job. I was moving out again, so I needed like some more job extra. So I contacted them again. But then from that point, I just set new standards, and I said like, listen, I know you're doing like this show and stuff. Would you like me to work for you? And they're like, yes, absolutely. I'm like, okay, I would love to, but there are some conditions. I must have my breaks for lunch. I should be able, like, I don't know, you decide, but either somebody comes in and out once in a while because I'm a human being. I gotta go to the bathroom too. I cannot stay for a 10-hour shift with no like break at all. So that was a moment where I was challenged by life to set the boundaries. And that kind of around that time, that incident really made me think. There were other things, but little ones, but this was a major one, where I started thinking that, you know what, how can I truly learn to love myself and have a healthier relationship with myself if I can't even set boundaries? And I even felt guilty for having boundaries, and like I couldn't open my mouth about it. So I started working proactively on that. And as I started working on knowing my boundaries, like actually a lot of things I didn't know. What are my boundaries? I did not know. Even if I would have got the courage to say that, I didn't know what my boundaries are. There were a couple things, like for guys, if they would invite me on a date or something, or even like not even on a date, I would always say like, don't swear around me. I don't tolerate it. So there were a couple things. But in general, like I didn't know. I didn't know how to set boundaries. I didn't know even what are my own boundaries. So I started this journey of setting boundaries and getting to know them. A lot of books have helped me, and actually I have a video on my channel that you can check out later, and in the recording it should appear here. I'm going to put like a link up here. It's about 3 books that are in my opinion, in my personal experience, are gemstones when it comes to self-love and just help and a guide when it comes to the journey of self-love. So when I started setting boundaries with myself and getting to know my own boundaries, and a little kind of explanation here, like when you ask about boundaries yourself, like how do you set boundaries with yourself? Like, are you telling yourself, like, listen, you're going to go to bed by this time. You're not going to talk to yourself negatively. Like, you're setting boundaries. And that's where it starts. If you can't set boundaries with yourself and keep yourself accountable and be honest, like brutally honest with yourself, then you won't be able to do with other people. So when I started doing that and I started working on myself, setting boundaries with myself, keeping myself accountable for that, this is when suddenly it wasn't hard for me to set my boundaries with other people. Let that sink in. If you don't know what I mean, that means you haven't experienced it yet, and probably you are struggling with setting boundaries with people. But if you know what I mean, say a yes or something in the comment, because this is so powerful. And I didn't know what it means until I experienced it, because originally I was trying so hard to set boundaries with other people when I had zero boundaries with myself. And once I started developing this relationship with myself, I started respecting myself more. And I didn't feel awkward for having boundaries, because seriously, you let people behave with you the way you treat yourself. So this is why I always say it's so important to love yourself first, not because nobody's going to love you. Everybody loves you at the level they're able to love themselves. Everybody meets you at the level they've been able to meet themselves. Nobody's going to see in you more than what they're able to see in themselves, and backwards. So when you are developing a level of respect and trust with yourself and learn to set boundaries with yourself, and you know that it's normal to have that, you don't come arrogant, you don't come out rude when you do that with other people, because it's just normal. And if they do get offended for you for setting the boundaries, then most likely it's because they had ill intentions for you, and it's not in their interest for you to have any boundaries. You got to cut off those kind of toxic people. Before jumping in that judgment, though, always it's important to ask yourself, okay, well, did I really behave from a place of integrity and respect with that person when I set my boundaries? Because maybe you didn't. Then if not, that's fine. Just be honest with yourself. Maybe you need to apologize and explain and say, like, hey, listen, didn't want to comment this way, but that's my boundary. So it hurts a little bit. So that's why I maybe overreacted. But if it was not the case, then that's their problem. It's not your problem. You set the boundaries. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people, and it's very hard when in your family people don't respect your boundaries. It hurts. It hurts more than if a stranger doesn't respect your boundaries. I know that from my personal experience. I think everybody knows, especially when your close ones deliberately always violate your boundaries, even though you keep setting them and setting them. So it's a huge challenge to keep loving them, but keep the distance and keep them accountable and reinforce your boundaries. So, but when it gets easy when you do it with yourself. Some things that help me to set boundaries with myself is actually getting to know myself better and developing trust with my own body. And I have a video about that. It's already posted, how to develop trust with your own body. And I'm going to post the link up here. So developing trust with my own body helped a lot, because my body always gives me cues before my brain starts understanding when my boundaries are violated. I'm very sensitive to energies and everything. So before my mind has a chance to catch up what's going on around me and with me, my body gives me cues already. So I always listen to my body, and I trust my body to pick up the energies and everything. And I feel when my boundaries are getting violated. Many times this is how I discovered that something is a boundary to me, and it's like, this shouldn't be crossed, because I felt something in my body that, you know what, that's a no. And I couldn't really, like, I would think later what happened, why my body reacted this way, and I understand it deeper, but I could respond, not react, respond in the moment, because I feel like, you know what, this feels awkward. Let's just not keep going this way. I don't have an explanation why, but I don't feel comfortable about it. And then later I would think like, well, what happened? Why was I not feeling comfortable about this and this and this? And then I would understand. So yeah, actually take a note. It's when you don't know how to set a boundary, just saying, communicate it to the person like, listen, I'm not comfortable with this. It's good enough. It's already powerful enough. And it's good to tell yourself about these things. Like always talk to yourself. Always tell yourself that, are you comfortable with doing these things? Like, for example, when I would go to auditions for modeling, most of the times you know what they want you to do for the audition. But many times you come to the audition and then they ask you to do something. I've never had like anyone ask me something crazy, but there would be things that you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm not really comfortable with this. So it's good to say, I'm not comfortable with that. And if they don't want to audition you for that, then that's fine. That's just not a job. Like, how are you going to do a job if you're not even comfortable auditioning for it? So I learned very quickly with modeling when I started, I didn't feel comfortable with doing lingerie and like sheer clothes and stuff, even though now I'm like okay with that. But at first, when I was like in my 20s, early 20s, I did not feel okay with that. And I would communicate that to my agent and say like, listen, that just don't sign me up for these kind of jobs. So yeah, things like that. I even had a because I'm like super health conscious, raw vegan, and all that kind of stuff. So I had a audition where I had to drink a beverage that I don't want to say what like beverage that and all that kind of stuff, but like in normal life I would never drink that beverage. So I didn't know. I didn't know what it is. It was my mistake. So when I came there, I realized that it's a beverage I wouldn't stand up for. I don't want my face promoting this kind of beverage. And they wanted you as part of the audition kind of like drink it in a pretty way. And I refused. I left. I said sorry. I said the agent too. I'm like, there's lots of girls who are ready to do this. I'm not gonna do it because I don't stand up for something like that. And then we spoke with my agent and I said like, yeah, there are certain things. Sorry, I didn't communicate this, but yeah, there are certain things that I wouldn't accept. And like, please confirm me what kind of foods or drinks are gonna be promoted so I know before I come to the audition. So things like that. Like setting boundaries should never be a stiff and unpleasant experience if the person who you're setting the boundaries with is decent, is working on their mental health, is aware about mental health and all that stuff, and it's a person of integrity, a person who respects you and has your interest, your best interest in their mind. That kind of people, they're never like, it's always going to be very easy for them with setting boundaries because they understand it and they respect it. If you do have someone in your life with whom you feel that, you know what, every time it comes to boundaries, it's just like a fight, things explode around, there is fire everywhere, then that just means that unfortunately that person is very toxic, and it's important boundary to set with yourself that you're not dealing with toxic people. And since we have 5 minutes left, every live that I make weekly is going to be 30 minutes. So yeah, for the next 5 minutes, let's just say some of the boundaries that I set with myself that have been the most life-changing. So number one, actually, why am I saying this if I didn't prepare to say something like this on this live? Okay, this is a spontaneous thing. One thing that I set for myself, a life-changing boundary, was that I don't engage in heated up conversations and arguments where people yell and curse at each other. It was actually the hardest thing for me to set boundary with myself because I grew up in a family where everybody was yelling. like crazy. And that's how people were communicating in my family. So I didn't know, as I was growing up, I didn't know that I actually can just leave and not engage with this kind of behavior. So I've been setting a boundary with myself that, you know what, you are staying away from places that are in this kind of negative attacking battle kind of energy where they like it's very disrespectful and immature. So I set that boundary with myself that I would not behave like that with others and with myself, because it's not the kind of energy I want to bring in the world. And I would not stay in those kind of situations where people yell, curse, and are just kind of like headbutting. So that was very, very powerful. Another life-changing boundary was talking, like cut off the toxic self-talk, because we all have it. Unless you work on yourself to cut off that habit, you are definitely doing negative self-talk. If you're telling me no, 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 then you either worked on it and you're not doing it anymore, or you're not even aware that you're doing it. Whatever it is, I'm not the one to tell you the verdict. So you got to be honest with yourself and say, like, are you doing negative self-talk with yourself or not? Sometimes when things get really tough, I could slip into that, but I'm good at catching myself and like, no, we're not doing that. We're kind with ourselves. We're behaving like I'm behaving with myself with integrity, love, compassion. So that's number 2 boundary, life-changing, that I set with myself. And number 3 was, I don't know what number 3 would be. There's like so many things coming up to my head right now, but they're not, I mean, yes, they're life-changing, but they're so basic, I think. I think number 3 would be just embracing change, but that's not really like a boundary. Oh, I know. So number 3 would actually, yes, that's actually very powerful. I am very adventurous and I like always experiencing new things. So I set a boundary with myself that before jumping into any adventure, I would wait things off and see if this adventure is in alignment with my main goals in my life. And if you don't have your main goals and your main priorities for your life, and they could change, but at the moment, I like review them at least once a month, my priorities and my goals. So I would always ask myself, is this adventure or anything in alignment with my goals and with my priorities right now? Is it going to help me address all of these things that are important for me right now, or is it going to hinder me? So if the answer is like, no, that's really going to screw things up and it's going to slow down your progress with these priorities in your life, or even like harm it and do like things backwards, then I would make it a rule. It's a boundary that I set with myself that I would say no to that adventure or whatever it is. And if it helps with my goals and with my priorities that I have, then yeah, it's a yes. So that's the biggest life-changing thing that I started implementing it 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. And yeah, I have way more peace of mind. So anyway, what are in the comments? Jack is still in the comments. May I propose you? No. But I appreciate your initiative. So, I mean, you may, but I'm going to refuse. So, yes, that's it for today. I encourage you to check out one of these videos here. Well, right now it's not because it's live, but in the recording right now, I'm going to post some of the videos you can click and watch more powerful, inspiring videos about self-love to help you on your journey of self-love. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when the next live is coming, because I decided to not announce them. They're happening every Monday, but I don't know when, so you'll have to stay tuned, and that's going to be the surprise element of my channel. And yes, see you in the next video. The next video is going to come up on Friday, probably. I post once a week a video and once a week a live episode. So feel free to comment below any ideas, any things that you would like to hear in the lives or for the videos, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.